So this is just a quick concept bite on the concept of outliers. So if we look at a data set, how do we know what an outlier is? We can't just randomly exclude things that we think look like outliers. We need to have some sort of justification for that. So we need to have a methodology, and I'm going to introduce in this video two different methods, Dicksons Cue test and Grubs Test. So if I have a set of data, in this case I've said 7 students each measure the temperature change of a reaction, and I've got 7 different temperature changes here, and we can see that we've got this 3.07, which to our mind might kind of think, hang on a minute, I'm not entirely sure about that. So how can I actually tell if it is a genuine outlier or if it is a valid data point? So Dicksons Cue test says that if I take my suspect value and take away the nearest value and divide that by the range, the highest value minus the lowest value, then I can work out this value Q. And if Q is greater than Q critical, which is a value I can find in the data tables, then I can reject my value. So I'm using a slightly revised set of critical values here. I've got them from a research paper published in Analytical Chemistry, which is why I've introduced this set. So if I look at my data set here, I have my temperatures. I've got 7 different values, and so I've just pulled the column from that table where I have 7 values. And I work out my value of Q to be 0.565. Now in this case, if I only want to be 90% confident that this value is an outlier, I can reject this value because the value when Q is 90% is only 0.507. But if I want to go to being 95% confidence, my value is increased to 0.568, and therefore I have to retain that value. So with a 95% confidence, I cannot get rid of that value. So Grubs' test works on the fact that data should always be a normal distribution, and therefore I should see a certain amount of that data within any given set of standard deviations. So within 1 standard deviation of the mean, I expect to see 68% of the data. Within 2, I expect to see I think about 95 or 96% of the data. And so we're using the fact that it's a normal distribution to work out whether something's an outlier in the Grubs test. So in the Grubs test, I have my suspect value minus my mean, and it's the mean of the other values, not the mean of all of the values, just the mean of the values that I'm confident with. And then I can divide that by the sample standard deviation of all the other values. I use the sample standard deviation because it makes it a little bit bigger, because I only have a small number of data points within my set. In this case, I only have 7 data points. And so I'm going to have this data table here. This is the equivalent for Grubs as we've just seen. And with a 95% confidence, I can reject the value if the value is bigger than the values listed in this table. So this is my data again. I work out my value of G, and that's 4.20. And I can see for 7 samples to have a 95% confidence of rejecting the value, my value has to be bigger than 4.73, and it's not. And so again, my value has to be kept. Hope this video has been useful, and I'll be back with more.